I will say I had the experience just when I got back last night. My son, this is a kid, I may have told this story on the show, but there's a crazy story where he, told Ringo he was a Ruddle, and Ringo loved that. And if you go back to my old episode, you can listen to that whole story. I won't bore you, but he literally was at 5 or 6, made Ringo like laugh hysterically. And then years later, when I brought him to a party, he brought him over to Eric Idle to say, tell him what you said when you met me. And I was like, oh my God. But so that same kid is now graduated college and he's back here. But when I got home last night, he was like, Dad, how could you not have told me about the American Beatles records? And I went, I didn't realize that was something I needed to. I thought I needed to tell you about sex. I didn't know I needed to tell you about the Beatles' American albums. And he was like, how could there be the Beatles' second album? Like, he thought that was the worst title in history. He's still mad about it.
That is about it. Yeah. But
yeah, but there are so many, when you think about it, there's so many things, not just music related, that I guess we're supposed to have, we thought our kids would just absorb. Somehow.
And they have. I mean, Beatles music will. Although, I used to always say that you two should be in the discussion. Everyone's like Beatles, Stones, but I was like, what about you two? That I've often said that.
I think it's fascinating, like what the next generation generally embraces. Like, I don't feel the next generation has embraced the Stones the way I would have expected. I feel like the Who and the Stones, for my exact generation, it was the Who, the Stones, the Beatles had already happened, but they were the legends.
Yeah.
But it's weird is like my kids, there was like, I think because they grew up on like Jack Black School of Rock, like they think of Black Sabbath as a bigger deal than the Stones.
No, I get that. I hear that. Go ahead.
Yeah. My daughter is, it's been a couple of years long process, but she is going through the Rolling Stone magazine top 500 albums of all time, and she's listening to all of them all the way through.
Well, that's what streaming will do for you.
Yeah, I know. It's easy to do that now. It's great.
And she's analyzing them, and she wants to talk about some of them, and some of them I've never even really embarrassed to admit, but they were, obscure for me. And it was pleasant surprise. So I'm glad. So she is getting a taste of a lot of things that we would like to. She's 24.
Okay, so we're all hit the stage. And your kids?
My kids, 24 and 28.
Okay, yeah. What I find really interesting is that like I now have to be humble enough to go stop teaching them or pushing them and let them lead you occasionally. And it's great. Like, so like my younger son took me to like Stereo Lab at the Wiltern recently, and it's like group that I sort of missed.
Oh,
and then he can go, Dad, check this out.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it was great. It was just great. So,
really, you would, French, all in French too, right?
Yep,
that's great. Can you name? I mean, growing up, we used to know like all band members. I mean, we talked you too. Of course, you could roll off the 4 members right off the bat. Is there any new band that you could name where it's
after One Direction?
It's like Bono. I don't even know One Direction. I couldn't.
Of course you do.
I would know Harry and Louis and
Niall.
No, I will see now. What
Liam.
Is there? I know you're going through your Rolodex of a band like
I think Foo Fighters established like about like a core of like 4 of them having real personalities in the band. But I think I think it's true. Well, the truth is there's not a lot of bands in a classic. That's not what music is anymore.
But
it's like,
the 1975 or, they're playing the arenas, but and they're playing, I can name, Matt Healy, and then I'm out.
Yeah, I think a lot of groups, just in terms of the way, they're driven, like, Coldplay, it's like, you start with Chris Martin and then it starts to, go downhill. And Radiohead, it's like you start with Tom and you go to Johnny and then you begin to.
I could do that one actually because, you got your 2 Greenwoods and then you got Phil Selway. So I'm good on Radiohead and the Black Keys. I got that.
Black Keys are pretty easy.
Dan and Patrick, of course, but
the White Stripes were pretty easy.
White Stripes were easy, but it's
not for them apparently.
Yeah,
they broke up.